Hello and welcome back, guys, to Sound of Manchester. Today, here is your host Prathamesh, and along with me are Smith and Kushagra, and also joining us today is Naved. Welcome to you guys. It was a wonderful Boxing Day for us. We hosted Newcastle and won 4-1. I think it was a game where, in the first half, even though we conceded the goal, our heads did not drop, and we kept on pushing for more and more goals. And I think it was a pretty satisfying performance for most people. I would like to start with Kushagra and what his views are with the Newcastle performance.
Hi Pratmesh. Hello to everyone. I felt Newcastle performance was really good in the sense that United showed two qualities. I would sense the first one was, let's be honest, they started well for the first 5 to 10 minutes, but they sort of dropped off and gave Newcastle a couple of opportunities. I remember that miss by Dwight Gale. If you remember, he hit the crossbar, and post that United conceded the goal. So United were vulnerable for about 7 to 10 minutes, but post that, a lot of people, a lot of pundits have said it was a Dubravka error, but I would still give credit to Martial for that goal. And a lot of people hate on Luke Shaw as well, but I would again give credit to Luke Shaw for bombing down the wing and getting the ball to Pereira, who shifted to Martial, and then Martial scored. But yeah, post that first goal that went in, United seemed in a different gear, and Newcastle just seemed like their main game plan had been foiled. Their game plan was to sit, keep the ball with United. As if you remember, if I had said it last week as well, you keep the ball with United last week. Sorry, this earlier this week as well. So you keep the ball with United, and that is when they tend to lose the ball, and they give you an opportunity to counter because most of their defense generally isn't in the right position. But that happened for the first goal. But post that, Newcastle sort of lost hope, and United were 3-1 up at the end of the first half. One goal I'd really want to mention out of the entire four goals was with when Wan-Bissaka actually beat his defender, stood up a ball. That was a fantastic ball to begin with, and Marcus Rashford scored a header. I mean, I don't remember saying that a lot since I've seen Marcus Rashford. So happy to see that goal, and that is one area United should work on, right and left. I would hope Ole, encourages Luke Shaw to go ahead as well and put in balls, because United can score from that particular angle as well. So it was a really good performance post the first 20 minutes, and really happy. Christmas kind of sucked, but post of it was fine.
Kushagra, the one thing which we have noticed this season, that when we have more of the ball, we have been losing games when we have more ball, but it seemed like the tide had turned for the better yesterday. What do you think was the main change that actually turned it on?
To begin with, I think United suffered a little with McTominay's injury, sorry, and because of that injury, probably restricted his movement during the beginning of the match. But I would suggest it's the mobility of a midfield. United fans haven't been accustomed to see very mobile midfielders over the past few years, and with McTominay, Pereira, and Fred in the midfield, it's the ball that comes from the defense, and the way they're able to spread it out to the attack. That's the most important aspect of this game, and that is what United need to continue in the matches going ahead. So I felt that was the most important aspect. Again, it's a big loss if McTominay, if the reports are to be believed, McTominay seems to have suffered a ligament injury, and if that is the case, then he'll be out for a few weeks, and that would really hurt United's chances for whatever they're aiming for this season. And let's be clear, we're not totally sure, even though Solskjaer came out and said in the press conference that it's fourth, is what they're aiming for. But with the inconsistency of the teams, we're not really entirely sure what they're aiming for. But McTominay would be a big loss. Again, it was heartening to see Pogba back for a good half. I thought he played well. I thought he was very dominant in the midfield, and I thought he did everything what Paul Pogba does, right? Making those runs from the deep, getting ahead, getting onto the ball, creating chances himself and for others. So yeah. So I was really happy with the midfield. I thought to answer your original question, I thought the midfield was the biggest improvement this match as compared to Watford.
Yes, certainly. It did look like a midfield did better than previous games. There was more mobility, there was more pressure being put on to the Newcastle opponents. And Naved, do you think after putting probably our best 11 on the pitch against Newcastle, what can we expect against Burnley as our starting 11?
Yeah, I think it was a very good game overall. The first 10 minutes didn't go as we planned, but yeah, as Kushagra said, after that I think we pretty much dominated the whole game. But I think we also need to take into fact that Newcastle were particularly bad in this game. I didn't really see them string 5 or 10 yard, like two or three passes together continuously. It was really bad, especially considering how they conceded the fourth goal with Martial running through from a mistake from the defender, and I think it was Sean Longstaff who made the back pass, and it was an error. So yeah, I think Newcastle were particularly bad, but yeah, it was a good display. But I think we should be taking such teams on. We should be beating them 3-4 by 3-4 goals at least. So Burnley I think is a tough fixture, and considering how we've played against smaller teams, I'm not too sure, but I'm excited going into this game. By the way we played before, the front three of Greenwood, Martial, and Rashford looks particularly potent. I think um, Greenwood adds a bit more of finishing prowess to the game, but then we miss James's crosses, so I think he might still come back. But I think even the front three that we kept, if we keep that, I think it'd be a particularly good game for us. And I think we could score a few goals, but it's all about the defense. I think if we can keep our heads throughout the game, I think we can easily win the next one as well.
Yes, Naved. Do you think at the same time would Lindelof and Maguire both start? Because I think one of them might need some rest, and also, who would you suggest would replace Scott McTominay in midfield, considering that he's injured?
At first, yeah, I'll answer your defender's question first. So I think he will still stick with Maguire and Lindelof. I think that's his preferred partnership, and I think in the Premier League at least, he's stuck to that. So I think he will still continue playing um, Maguire and Lindelof over there. And I think they've apart from the 10 minutes yesterday, I think they were all right. I think Maguire made a few mistakes at the start, but I think they made up for it throughout the game. Lindelof strung a good few passes together to when he plays those passes through the middle. It was pretty good as well. But so yeah, I think those two will stay. For in terms of McTominay, I think it's a straight swap with Paul Pogba coming in. I think we will see Fred and Pogba playing over there, and I think he can play over there, but I'm not sure if he can play over there with Fred, because I feel if Paul Pogba plays in the midfield too, he needs someone like McTominay next to him who can do the dirty work for him. I think Fred can, but I don't know if he has the stamina and if he has the athleticism to get up and down the field as much as McTominay does. But I think yeah, that would be the midfield. In my opinion, would be Fred and Pogba with probably Lingard sitting in front of them.
Yes, seems about right. I think one change which Ole might make to our defense would be bringing Brandon Williams in. I think Luke Shaw has played a few games on the trot now, and I think he might need some rest. Also, you made a good point with Pogba coming along with Fred, but I think still Andreas might start, or maybe Jesse Lingard will. We'll have to see for that. Smith, I think the Burnley game provides us with a lot of challenges. Turf Moor has been a difficult ground for most opposition, and what do you think Burnley game has in store for us?
Yeah, I mean, if you see a couple of past games, right? It started off with the win against Spurs, and then we beat City, and then there was that slump at home against Everton, and followed by the loss to Watford. So we've yet to go on a run, right? So we've had wins, we've had draws, we've had defeats, but it's never been. So I think what Ole as a manager and what this whole 11 or this group of players lack is consistency for me. I mean, it does not depend on the quality of players you have or superstars you have, but I think it's consistency. And when you visit places like Turf Moor, I think it's the intent that you go, into the game. I think that is the most important thing for me. I mean, I'm okay with a McTominay not being there or a Pogba not being there, but what what is the most important thing for me personally is how the 11 he puts on the team sheet, how those 11 players, perform on the pitch for those 90 odd minutes. So as you said, yeah, Tufmo is not an easy place, and they've had like a couple of good games, and so I think Sean Dyche has done a really good job with like a limited transfer budget and with the team he's had. So it will be a challenge. I think it will be similar to the Watford game. And as Kushagra and Navid rightly said, I mean, the Newcastle game was a huge upgrade to what we saw against Watford. And yeah, I mean, I do see a couple of changes, but I don't think he's gonna, mess around with this 11, which is, I think it's been doing quite well. But with McTominay out, I think I'm gonna, like you said, I think Pereira might just start alongside Fred, and Pogba could be up onto that number 10 role, but we'll see what happens there. And speaking of Burnley, I think they currently sit on 12th position in the table with 24 points. I mean, Chris Wood and Barnes, they're pretty good forwards. Chris Wood has got like 7 goals this season, and compared to us, Burnley create like 1.42 chances every game, while we create 1.47. So that's not much of a difference in terms of chances being created. While speaking of clean sheets, now this one's gonna be like a shock. We've got 2 clean sheets in the Premier League. Burnley's got 7, but I mean, it's a stat. But when you look at things from a higher perspective, I think with if Pogba starts and the front three remains the same of Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood, I think we should be able to get the job done. So yeah, that's what I feel about the game.
Yes, I think there are a few more promising stats that I would like to bring to everybody's attention. I think one is that Burnley have conceded 30 league goals this season. That has been the fourth highest number of goals they have conceded. They have conceded 9 goals in the last 15 minutes of the first half, which is a quite interesting statistic considering that Sean Dyche is known for his stability in the team, but it seems to have gone away. So I think they're defensively slightly weaker this season. But they do tend with the likes of Barnes, Wood to finish games strong. They've scored 8 goals rather in the last 15 minutes of games. So it shows that they have that resilience in them to fight for the complete 90 minutes of the game. So it promises to be pretty interesting. I think, Smith, another question which I would like to add is like whether Lindelof is the right choice in terms of defending against the likes of Barnes and Chris Wood, because physically we do realize he gets bullied sometimes. So would you prefer Tuanzebe against Burnley, or would you still stick with Lindelof?
Yeah, I mean he has been shaky this season, hasn't he? But I think what it takes for a centre back to be consistent and um, what do you call strong throughout the season is, I think, if he plays a string of games with his centre back partner. And I think Maguire is a starter, obviously. So the most obvious choice at centre back for us right now is Lindelof. And I think the more games Maguire and Lindelof play together, the better they're gonna get. Both of them have had their flaws this season. Both of them have lost the balls. They've not completed their aerial duels completely. They've had a couple of unnecessary fouls, but then the more the games they play, because you see Lindelof had like several different partners since he's joined United, right? He's had Smalling, he's had Jones, he's had Tuanzebe a couple of times. But I think Maguire, in terms of ability, Maguire has been his best centre back partner. So I think both of them will bring out the best of each other in like the coming months till, let's say, a Jan or Feb. I think both of them should be solid. So I as much as I like Axel Gonzalez to start, I think we need the points on the board right now, and I think we should opt for Lindelof and Maguire. So I think I'm gonna go for a Lindelof and Maguire partnership yet again.
Yes, I think seems plausible that it may be a case that Lindelof might start. I think there might still be divided opinions, but I believe it makes sense for both of them to play regularly together so that they bond well as a centre back for pairing, and I think it works well for us. I think I would like to hear your predictions and not just match predictions. And another prediction which I would like to add is whether Marcus Rashford would be scoring his 12th goal in the Premier League this season along with a United win. So I would like to start with Naved here.
Yeah, I think in terms of prediction for the game, I think I would go for a 2-1 victory, and I would have Marcus Rashford and Martial on the score sheet. I think they'll score one each, and I think Rashford will get his 12th Premier League goal of the season.
Kushagra, your views on the game?
I still find it tough to trust United, so I'd go for a 1-1 draw, and I'll go for your favorite Rashford to score, but it'll still be a draw.
And Smith, what would you say? What are your predictions? Any positivity that has come through your veins after the Newcastle performance?
Yeah, I mean, positives, yes. Positivity, I'm not sure. There were a couple of positives to pick up from that, but then it's just I mean, it's Newcastle. You can't let it affect you that to the point that you start predicting win after win after win for United. So I think the last time we faced them was at we won 2-0 with the Lukaku brace. So that's not gonna happen, right? And and speaking of Rashford, I think he's been on incredible form. I mean, I haven't seen him score a header since forever now, and that was a very Ronaldo-esque header, as we all know. And speaking of the full time, I'm gonna go for a very KG 2-all draw. I think because it's a festive period, I think the team will be, you know, changed around quite a bit. We will see a couple of changes, and we will miss McTominay in the midfield, so that's going to be quite a hole for us. So I'm going to go for a 2-all draw.
Okay, we've got predictions from all of them. I think my personal prediction would be a 3-2 Manchester United win. I see a slightly more high-scoring game in terms of the festive period getting a few mishaps along with it. So I do believe that it would be quite an interesting game. I think Marcus might not just score his 12th, might also score his 13th goal, hopefully, in the Premier League season. Also expect one of the midfielders to get on the score sheet, preferably Paul Pogba has been showing signs of it for quite a while now. So let's hope that he gets on the score sheet as well. So a 3-2 win to United, or any possible way in which United win works for every one of us. So yeah, exactly. I think that should be all. I think we have had quite a good result against Newcastle, and we would be looking to replicate a similar performance at Burnley. So all the best to the boys who are going to play that day. And thank you all of us for joining us today. I think it was another pretty exciting podcast for us. This is your host Prathamesh was signing off. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to Sound of Manchester. Thank you guys.